Hi, writers. Whether you are already nearing the end of your draft or just getting started, this lesson is for you. I think that we all could benefit from having some time to draft and redraft, especially when it comes to leads for our stories, because leads matter. They make a difference, and there are more ways to do it than sometimes we realize. So, here are a few tips and a few examples that you might try on today. So when it comes to writing leads, it often just comes down to pulling together some strategies that you already know or have seen, and then deciding what makes the most sense for your own story. So here are three tips for writing leads. One is to start with an action, something very specific, like maybe the actions that you see in 11 when Mrs. Price holds up the sweater, turns to show it to the whole class. Those tiny actions help us to see and feel what it was like to be in the story. Also, they create a mood, suspense, anxiety. Maybe that might be a way to start off your story. If your story is super intense, action might be a nice way to bring us in. Another way to do this is to just drop us right into the story, into the moment when things start happening by showing us what the main character says, does, thinks, and feels. Use details that feel true and help recreate the moment for your readers. And then a third option might be to start off by talking to your audience, telling them what the story is really about and why it matters to you. Take some time to actually talk to them, just like how Sandra Cisneros says this in 11. She talks about what it's like to be 11 and how it doesn't really feel like you're 11, even though you are. Those moments are powerful and set us up for what's to come. So what I would suggest doing is what you're going to see on my page or in my digital writer's notebook. Trying a few. Here's when I tried the first option. The second option, I tried to show what the main character, me, in your story it's you, says, does, thinks, and feels. So here's what it sounded like when I just gave this a shot. He's looking at you again, Lauren giggled. Bertha looked too, to confirm. Oh my God, he so totally is. Do you hear how the dialogue sounds like real sixth graders, possibly? This is what was happening, or could have been happening to me when I was in the sixth grade, surrounded by my friends at lunch. I didn't say anything. I didn't dare lift my head up and risk locking eyes with Tyler O'Regan, the cute new kid that I had befriended in after school, who had recently told literally everyone in the sixth grade that he was going to ask me out during lunch today. Do you also hear how I'm giving you the backstory? Remember we heard this in another lesson from a few days ago? The introduction could also be a place to give some backstory. What's going on? Where is this coming from? And what are we walking into? I can't believe Hanny is going to have a boyfriend, Marina shrieked, grabbing my arm. I pulled it back, worried she would feel the buckets of sweat that were pouring out of my body. Do you see there? Dialogue, action, and inner thinking. A lot of stuff's going on here. Don't look up, I told myself. Don't let them see how nervous you are. So I focused in on my pizza bagel, praying that the moment would pass and that nothing would happen, that my life wouldn't change at all whatsoever, and that nothing would ever be more complicated than the half-frozen pizza bagels for school lunch. So that's one way I did this, but then I kept trying other ways in drafting. I even did another lead using the same tip, just made it a little bit shorter. And I kind of leaned into what I started doing at the end there by kind of like setting up what the story is really about. Check this one out and see what I did. You'll see some things are similar and some things are a little bit different. He's looking at you again, Lauren giggled, for the look to confirm. Oh my God, he so totally is. I didn't look up. I kept my head down, focusing only on my pizza bagel, completely horrified for what was about to happen next. Do you see how I'm now using the same strategy or technique, recreating the moment, showing what the main character is saying, doing thinking, but I'm trying to speed it up a little bit because I realized I talked for a while in the first version. I tore off a piece of my pizza bagel and popped it into my mouth. It was frozen again. Ew, what is this middle school food? I thought. I thought that school lunch was supposed to get better as you get older, I said, desperate to change the subject. My friends didn't hear me. They were only focused on two things, boys and popularity. Two things that I was not ready to invite into my life. Another version of it, same tip, same strategy, just a little bit different, shorter. Okay, I tried another one. Look at this one and see how different it is. This time I'm trying that third option. Tell the readers why the story matters. I started off by telling you about why I'm writing the story or what's going on and what the story's going to be about. I almost tried to mimic Sandra Cisneros in this one. So listen to see how I did it. Super different. What they don't tell you about growing up is that you have no control over it. You don't get to decide when you are ready to have a gazillion different teachers, have more homework, make your own lunch, babysit, stay up late, wake up early, get pimples, wear deodorant, have crushes, have your heart broken, be humiliated for saying something dumb in front of your entire grade, then have your friends want to defriend you because you are such a loser. No one asks you when you're ready to do these things. These things just happen to you. Life happens to you, whether you like it or not. So that version kind of has that same vibe we get from Sandra Cisneros, where she talks about what people don't realize about birthdays and telling you what people don't realize about growing up. Do you hear my topic here? The topic of my story is growing up. What's the lesson that I'm kind of trying to teach you as my reader? That life happens to you whether you like it or not. So another way to go about this is to think, well, what's my story really about? What's the lesson I'm trying to convey or show? And start with that. Tell us about it, and then jump into your story. So I guess theoretically, what you could do is you could kind of like, when you're done, after you've tried a few different versions of this, remember, like you should give it a few tries. Maybe if you're in a digital notebook, you just write this in a few different pages. If you're in a digital document, you might just have like version 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you decide. Because now that I've written a few, I'm thinking, oh, what I could do is I could actually like put some of these together for another version of a draft. I kind of like this one a lot, but I don't want to forget about the scene I just created. So maybe now my new lead is to kind of like plop in this stuff from option 2. Show them what is really happening. So maybe my story starts like this. And it keeps going. Like I tell you about what's really important, I give you the theme, then I give you the scene with my friends. So a couple things that you could do on your own right now. After you've watched this video, I want you to try a few of these options. Use the tool that's posted in Google Classroom and try out at least 2 versions of your lead. Then add it into your story. Continue drafting or revising, maybe finding other places for it to go. So when you're done with watching this video, what do? You try writing your lead in 1, 2, or 3 different ways. Then you continue to draft and revise so that later today, you've not only written a new lead, but you have some other parts of your story that are new as well. Good luck today. Watch this over if you need to. Look at my examples and the tool more closely and let those guide your thinking today. I'm looking for you to draft a few versions before you get started. It's going to be great. Good luck.